Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for the seemingly annual firing at Nottingham Forest. Chris HUGHTON has gone. We were covering the Stoke versus Barnsley game last night on the channel, obviously keeping abreast as Forest lost at home to Borough. We said at the start of the game when he bombed out the keeper and put the reserve keeper in, and then that keeper goes on to make a huge mistake during the game. The old Hail Mary switch the keeper is always a sign a manager is very, very nearly done. And sadly for Chris HUGHTON, we were right. There was a fair amount of back and forth into the later hours after the game last night, suggesting it had already been done. And it's been announced this morning at 9 a.m. on the Forest website, so it sounds like it was done. Forest can confirm that Chris HUGHTON has been relieved of his duties. There we go, a nice way of saying given the boot, kicked to the curb, fired, sacked, whatever. The club would like to place on record its appreciation for Chris's efforts. Chris joined the club in a difficult period for everyone in football and around the world. That obviously reference to COVID. Conducted himself, we thank him for the way he's conducted himself during his tenure. Stephen Reid will take temporary charge of the first team as interim head coach. The search for the permanent successor has begun, and the club will update supporters in due course. The club would like to wish Chris all the best in his future career. So, here we are again. I won't go chapter and verse because it feels like since we've been doing the channel, we've done multiple of these videos of Forest sacking a manager. Maybe it's a little bit different this time because new CEO came in the summer, which was Dane Murphy, who came across from Barnsley. And prior to that, it had always been a little bit of a sense of chaos under Marianakis and Mr. Fawaz before him as well. It's been very unstable, Forest, for the longest time now, in terms of bring in a manager, give them a load of players, try and take out the previous manager's players, but a lot of them, obviously the contracts then overlap, and just a mess, and it seems to have been like that for ages and ages. The idea was, in comes Chris HUGHTON, and let's be honest, and they've had sort of volatile names in there before, like Martin O'Neill, Aitor Karanka. I quite liked Sabri Lamucci, and I'm sure Forest would take a playoff challenge, but obviously that fell off in the worst way, didn't it, on the final day of the season. The idea was, in comes Chris HUGHTON, this very statesman-like, calm, cool guy with this brilliant record in the Championship with the 100 points at Newcastle, playoffs at Birmingham, playoffs and then promotion at Brighton as well. And he was going to ride things out. But we're now in that debate of, is it the club or is it the manager? We don't know the answer now. We don't know the answer until we see what the next couple of managers at Forest do and what Chris HUGHTON does in his next job. But there's plenty of back and forth I've already seen about this. And let's be fair, both arguments are reasonable that Chris HUGHTON, maybe the bloom's off the rose a little bit and he's not the manager he was. I don't know. We'll find out in his next job. Or B, it's just Forest that's a very difficult job to do and has been. Or is it a little bit of both if we hedge our bets right in the middle there? So look, have a look on the left there. I've set the Championship table from last season from the 6th of October, which is when Chris HUGHTON was announced. And you can see Forest in 15th position, 52 points from the 42 games that HUGHTON was in charge for. I guess the horrifying stat there is 36 goals in the 42 games that HUGHTON was in charge for, which if I scan up and down, I can see only Derby County was worse in that time instead of goals, in terms of goals scored. You can see relegated Sheffield Wednesday just one above. Look at Luton, same amount of goals scored in that time. So I think the feeling here I've got is that okay, Houghton, after Lamouchi, lost the dressing room, lost the first 4 games, whatever, 15th in his tenure. And then, rightly or wrongly, the expectation with 2-time European Cup winners Nottingham Forest is that they then move up from 15th, maybe into the top half of the Championship, and away we go. Up you go, incremental challenge. So, in the summer, it was a whole lot more calm with the transfer window. We didn't get the normal 15 players out, 15 players, and maybe I'm exaggerating a bit for effect there. But you know what I mean. I think our friends at Second Tier Pod had said 80 players in the past. It's like 4 transfer windows or something in and out. Maybe it's longer than that. But you take my point. The turnover has been absolutely massive. And then on the right-hand side, that is this season's table, obviously. And far be it from moving up to 15th into maybe, I don't know, 10th to 12th or something. Forest have just been dreadful, haven't they, at the start of this season? Played 7, 1 draw, and that was at Derby County, where they were behind going into the last 10 minutes of that one. 6 defeats as well. And you can just tell, and believe me, I've seen this at my own club. You can see the Ipswich scarf hanging up there. You can tell when there's a fragility around the entire club where any bad moment in a game turns to defeat, even if you were leading. And we saw that a few times, lots of 2-1 defeats lately for Forest, where things just automatically sort of veered to a defeat. And it's just a very, very, very poor start for Nottingham Forest. And it's one that has cost Chris Hughton his job. What is left there, we'll look at in a minute, in fact, but there is that crazy manager run there. I mean, just look at it. I've only gone down to Billy Davis in 2009. I mean, look, that lasted a year and a half. Steve McLaren, you can see there, about 9 months. Steve Cotterill, pretty much the same thing there. Sean O'Driscoll, God, that's 6 months. Alex McLeish, that's, crikey, that's 3 months or even shorter there, 2 months. Billy Davis comes back, well, he lasts a year. Gary Brazil, that'll be caretaker, won't it? Stuart Pearce, they've tried the club legend there. You can see that's about 9 months or so. Doogie Friedman, a year. Paul Williams, that's a caretaker job, isn't it? Philippe Montagnier, 6-7 months, you can see there. Gary Brazil comes back. Mark Warburton, I wonder if they're regretting that one, given over a few transfer windows where QPR are sitting now. Mark Warburton only got, again, 9 months or so. Gary Brazil comes back in. Karanka, he had them up in 2nd position that December, didn't he? That's, okay, he made it virtually a year. Martin O'Neill, how long did he get? 6 months again. Sabri Lamouchi, June 19th. Okay, that one's a little bit longer with and probably played more games with COVID and whatnot there. But again, still just over a season. And then Chris Hughton, 1 season. It's just not sustainable, is it, to continually change a manager over and over again? I mean, people always point to the examples of Chelsea. They change their manager lots, but they also have a huge spend and loads of the best players and, you know, a crazy sort of youth thing that raises them loads of money at the same time. Watford, maybe the only ones who've been reasonably successful in getting a couple of promotions and staying in the Premier League with a very, very high churn of manager. But be very interested in Forest fans' thoughts on that. And again, I thought this will be the guy that's there 2, 3, 5 seasons, slowly bumping them up the table, but it just has not turned out to be the case. There is the squad for Forest. On the right, there's some sort of stats from this season. You can see, I mean, it's very difficult in terms of goals and assists and things of that nature because they just haven't scored that many. But you can see who the kind of key players are and what there is to build around. And this is the thing with Forest. There's always been an argument they're a big club that's had good players and, honestly, good managers as well. Managers that have done well elsewhere. But, yeah, the team that's been sort of out regularly this season, and that's just popped together on appearances. Look, Samba, there's problems there, and he was dropped in the last game. But when you start to look at maybe a central defensive partnership of Worrell and McKenna, it's fine. They're good players. Central midfield, Garner, Yates. Yeah, that should be fine, shouldn't it? Zinkernagel puts up numbers at championship level. So does Joe Lolly. I know he's dipped off a little bit when he's fancying it. Young players, Myton, Brennan Johnson look useful, don't they? Strikers, okay, say what you like about possibly some perhaps preconceptions about Lyle Taylor and Lewis Grabban and things we might have seen on documentaries and maybe Lyle Taylor's way out of Charlton, but they score goals and, in the right sort of situation. What I'm saying is the players at Forest and the setup at Forest are going to build a new stand and have a, much bigger ground sort of coming up, maybe 35, 40,000. I think if they build up that Peter Taylor stand, the whole thing doesn't add up to being bottom of the championship. So, again, it's the age-old thing of can it run in the right way? If you're a Forest fan, you're hoping that this Dane Murphy now is the key, that there's a buffer between Mr. Marianakis and management and then players, and hopefully that should smooth things out. Obviously, I accept the comment if it comes in. Ben, he still runs the club. He can still do what he likes. I get it. Will he leave well alone enough for Dane Murphy to now hire somebody? And I'm so sorry for repeating myself. Keep them in the job for 2, 3, 5 seasons, like I thought Chris HUGHTON would probably be. I do accept the argument from Forest fans that the football's not been good under HUGHTON. And again, we pointed out that real lack of goals and creation last season. But again, I'm so down the middle on, is Forest impossible to manage? Was Chris HUGHTON, or is Chris HUGHTON not the manager he was and doing a poor job? Or is it a combination of both? Time will tell. And time will tell who will be the next Forest manager. I think Alan Nixon from The Sun a few weeks ago said if called upon, Chris Wilder would take it. And Chris Wilder's an interesting one. So is Steve Cooper. Eddie Howe is there. Frank Lampard is there. John Terry had gone to Instagram to say he didn't want it. Let's be fair. Forest have tried everything here, haven't they? Club legend like Stuart Pearce or Martin O'Neill tried both of those. Previously promoted championship managers, Karanka, HUGHTON. HUGHTON would be your safe pair of hands. They've tried the kind of philosophical systematic manager like Mark Warburton, didn't give him the time. They've tried maybe the motivators like Billy Davis and Alex McLeish, etc. Tried the ex-England manager Steve McLaren as well. They seem to have tried everything. So some interesting names there. Look, I am a big fan of Steve Cooper. I'm a big fan of Chris Wilder. Frank Lampard's a bit more of an interesting one because we find it quite hard to judge because he kind of jumped from 6th place in the championship to a Champions League team where he was a legend at. So I don't quite know where Frank Lampard lands back in. Chris Wilder and Steve Cooper are guys, especially Steve Cooper with his recent experience in the Championship, that know what they're doing at this level. The only issue is for someone like Steve Cooper, and Chris Wilder to a certain extent, they've both recently walked away from, found themselves not managing, clubs where they perhaps weren't totally in tune with an ownership. With certainly the to and fro between Chris Wilder and Prince Abdullah not looking great. Steve Cooper, it's been a bit more private, but I think it's fairly well known that he wanted more backing through, especially in January when he had Swansea right up there in those automatic spots. I don't know for them whether it's out of the frying pan into the fire going into Forest, but the caveat is always it's Nottingham Forest. And you're kind of looking outside of the parachute teams. If you're going in the Championship as a manager, what more can you ask for other than a big club with big expectations, big fan base, big history? Unless you can get the money of a Year 1 or Year 2 parachute team. So I don't know, would they take it? And certainly be interesting. And both of those managers, obviously Chris Wilder, 9th place, and then 2nd place in the Championship. Was it 9th place? I can't remember. 9th place in the Premier League. Look, he finished in the middle with Sheffield United, and then he took them straight through, didn't he? And Steve Cooper with seemingly diminishing resources every year at Swansea. And I know Forest fans might pile in on the Swansea fans who were saying, oh, it was a bit static, a bit defensive, and they've just gone from Chris Hughton, and they might want the grass being green, and maybe it's Wilder and wing-backs bombing forward and centre-backs bombing forward and attack. I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comments. Firstly, on this issue that I can't get my head around, what's gone wrong here? Is Chris Hughton a bad manager or a lesser manager than he was, and that's the reason Forest are bottom? Is it that the club is a bit of a basket case and chaotic and has been for many years, and that's tricky? Is it a combination of both? Let me know what you think. And who would you see coming in at Forest, being able to work, presumably if Dave Murphy's allowed to be the buffer between manager and owner Marianakis? Who would you like to see come in there? Look, I cover the Championship. It'd be great to have the character, the personality of Chris Wilder back in, wouldn't it? But maybe the quiet, studious, highly rated coach Steve Cooper is the one. I don't know. I'm sure there's other names I've missed out that you'll want to go on. There you go. Chris Hughton sacked from Nottingham Forest. There's one more question. Where does Chris Hughton pipe up next? And this is probably our first of... We say this every season. It seems ridiculous. First managerial departure in the Championship. We normally reach double figures. It is September the 16th. So we're fairly early. We haven't reached international break number 2. I'm sure the merry-go-round, the rat wheel or whatever you want to call it, will start turning very, very soon. And there will be many more of these videos through the season. Get your thoughts in. Obviously, from a human level, we don't like to see people lose their jobs. So good luck, obviously, to Chris Hughton, who seems a thoroughly nice, thoroughly calm, non-aggressive football manager like some of them are. So good luck to him and wherever he pops up next. Get your comments in on the situation at Forest. Thanks for watching. See you tonight for the Round 7 review as well. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.